Over 60 manga in 40 minutes, this is my 2023 manga recommendations of the year. So kick back, relax, and grab yourself a coffee as we're going to be going through 40 minutes of manga recommendations. This unusual couple falls in love. In The Invisible Man and his soon-to-be wife, Yako Shizuka is a quiet and shy 20-year-old working at a detective agency. She's blind, but due to her other senses, always knows where her boss is, Tonome. He's the invisible man who owns the agency and has a personality kinda like James Bond. Now, due to his special ability, it's unusual for people to notice him, so when Yako does this, he slowly falls for her. The dynamic between the two of them and their co-workers cheering them on is absolutely wholesome. And it's quite poetic how one of them can't see and the other one can't be seen, now completing each other like a puzzle. Definitely a fun and short romance that I think you'll enjoy. Where does this meme come from? Well, it comes from this manga and anime called Magical Girl Site. The iconic images of our main character Aya. She's severely bullied at school and her home life is equally as terrible. Amidst this abuse, she gets contacted by the Magical Girl Site. The mysterious figure gives her a magical power. One day she uses this power and accidentally kills some of her bullies. After, she meets a classmate who is also a magical girl. They join forces and talk about other girls who are murderers, who runs the Magical Girl Site, and the huge mystery surrounding a tempest, which is like a doomsday clock that only the magical girls can see. My Life as Inukai-Sans Dog isn't your average isekai series. It's worse. We follow our main character, a high school boy who wakes up on the sidewalk with no memories of what happened to him. His classmate and crush Karen Inukai helps him back to her place, and it's there that Pachita realizes that he's a dog. His goal is to return as a human, but he's put into many questionable situations that make you wonder,
what the dog doing?
You need to pick up Sakamoto Days. Our protagonist Sakamoto was the deadliest hitman around. That is until he fell in love, got married, and started a family. Now quietly running a convenience shop. But one day his past comes to his door, not realizing Sakamoto is the one who knocks. To celebrate Mother's Day, here's a manga about a guy falling in love with his childhood friend's mom. You like me, not my daughter? Ayako is a 30-year-old single mom who adopted an orphan girl named Miu. Her daughter has been friends with this boy next door named Takun and has been close to him ever since childhood. So Ayako believed that these two were meant to be for each other. That is until one night of drinking to celebrate Takun's 20th birthday, where he confesses to Ayako and reveals that he's been in love with her for several years. Now, this has been apparent to Miu and everyone else around them but Ayako. At first, she's surprised and rejects him, but eventually she comes to confront her own growing feelings towards Takun, especially since he's everything she's been looking for in a man. Will she give his love a chance? Check it out and happy Mother's Day. Did you know Spider-Man and All Might live in the same universe? Well, at least in the universe of Deadpool Samurai. You see, Hida Hakura is Sakura's spider on Earth 346. She's the leader of the Samurai Squad, which is comprised of Deadpool, Venom, and herself. During a fight against Thanos, the team gets severely beaten and outmatched. So, as a last resort, Deadpool calls for backup to none other than All Might, which apparently they've known each other for a good 5 years. All Might does a flashy entrance and takes out Thanos with a single punch. Sakura's spider and the squad thank him and he flies off, leaving Deadpool with an autograph. There are loads of big twists. Happy Sugar Life is anything but cute. Our main character Sato is a psychopath who would do anything to protect her love. This includes blackmail, murder, and kidnapping a little girl named Shio. Her reason for doing this is that she saw Shio as something pure to raise and protect since she herself had a traumatic childhood. So Sato massacres the little girl's family to keep her all to herself. However, she has to keep up the image of being a seemingly average girl who goes to high school and works at a cafe. Things only get more insane as more people get involved trying to sabotage Sato's love, pushing her to the extreme. Can she contain all her dark secrets and get away to a happy life? In order to save the world, you have to be this girl's servant. In Chain Soldier, we follow Wakiru, a dull high schooler who lives in a world where only women have superpowers, putting guys at the very bottom of society. The powers come from another dimension that has opened up all across Japan, also releasing some monsters that want to destroy all of humanity. So an organization of anti-demon corps is formed. One day, Wakiru finds himself inside of one of these portals, sending him into near death. That's when Uzun, a chief of the organization, is there to save him. Her power is being able to enslave any being by drawing out their strength. However, they're quickly overrun, so she has the bright idea to use her powers on Wakiru, turning him into a beast. However, every time she uses her ability, there's an exchange of intimacy that needs to be made. From the creator of Tokyo Ghoul, we have Chojun X. We follow our MC Tokyo, who doesn't have much ambition other than helping his best friend Azuma fight crime. But one night, they get jumped by a Chojun, which are these supernatural and powerful humans that each have their own unique abilities. Unable to fight or run away, they take a serum to turn themselves into a Chojun. The only thing is that Tokyo sees the effect immediately while Azuma is saved but left powerless, creating a slow rivalry. Now Tokyo tries to juggle hiding his powers while figuring them out. However, there are multiple organizations that want to use Chojuns for their own benefit. Although it is a slow burn, we have great characters, beautiful art. Let me explain the chilling story behind a comic that made its creator quit. PTSD Radio, created by Nakayama Masaki. The anthology follows an evil god of hair haunting and torturing people in the most disturbing ways. However, before writing the book, he moved into a large and extraordinarily cheap studio, but with how low the price was, he became suspicious of it. When examining the building, he noticed something was there, a piece of a shrine chipped away inside the walls of his closet. He originally ignored it, but as time went on, strange occurrences started to happen. First, it was creaks in the ceiling late at night, a smell here and there, or electrical blackouts. However, it got to the point where many of his assistants started to see shadowy figures. Falling ill or getting into accidents, many never returned to work for him again. Soon after his assistants, his mouth started bleeding with blisters, hospitalizing him for months. Berserk and JoJo's were inspired by the manga Fist of the North Star. It's set in a dystopian world where our main character Keshido has to rescue his fiancée, who's been kidnapped from his once best friend Shin. And in a world where the strong rule over the weak, Keshido doesn't use a huge sword like Guts. He's built different and uses his martial arts to turn his enemies into dust. From its impressive art, insane gore, and legendary moments like this. Definitely check it out. This messed up manga is about 5 friends who commit the worst act. Shin, Tsubaki, Ru, Akira, and Haruka. They all took out a man 5 years ago. Vowing to live with this terrible act, they visit the remains every single year during the summer festival. But this year, when visiting the remains together, they realize the man is gone. To their horror, all that's left is a cell phone. Getting a call from a mysterious crazy man saying he knows what the group did, and if they want it to stay a secret, his messed up demands have to be met, which is more than what they bargained for. It's called Until Your Bones Rot. It's a thriller mystery filled with twists with some pretty messed up moments. What if you only had one shot to impress your crush? Would you do it? Well, Taiki is put into this very scenario. You see, he's had a passion for badminton, especially since he's joined the prestigious school Imai Academy of Sports. But the girl of his dreams puts him to shame. Chinatsu is not only the most popular girl in school, but also the most talented at basketball nationally. The gap between him and his crush couldn't be any greater. But in a twist of fate, they have to live together, pushing Taiki to have the same dream as Chinatsu to become the very best at their sport, both developing their skills and also growing closer to each other, with some bumps in the road. It's called Blue Box, and trust me, this romance will have you hooked. This cute girl is struggling to remember her past. In Kowloon generic romance, we follow our main character Reiko. She's a 30-year-old real estate agent, and every day she wakes up to the same routine: lighting a cigarette, eating a slice of watermelon, and enjoying the view of Kowloon City before going to work. Now, she has this coworker Kudo who sometimes irritates her, but he means well. So the both tend to hang out after work, but recently they've spent more time together. Now, this may seem generic, but there's actually a twist and something nostalgic about their love. So one day when organizing Kudo's desk, Reiko finds a Polaroid of him with a girl that looks just like her. The caption saying, "Reiko and Hajime, congratulations." She has no memory of this whatsoever. And so with one mystery, the city of Kowloon holds many more, and I've got to say, the art is absolutely gorgeous, like something out of a movie. This guy marries his robot. Takuma is a single guy who does nothing but go to work and come home to unwind. Too tired to do chores, he gets a smart robot called Mina-chan to fix the house. But after a while, Takuma jokes that she should become his wife, which Mina, being a robot, takes this seriously, so slowly they start doing more couple-like things together, like having picnics outside. Eventually, Takuma proposes to Mina, leading her to have some strange feelings in her system. Can a robot and a human really be compatible? Find out by reading My Wife Has No Emotion. This weird romance series is about drool. In Mysterious Girlfriend X, Tsubaki gets sick in love with Urabe Mikoto, a strange new transfer student, by tasting her drool. Because of this, Tsubaki asks out Urabe to continue having her drool and to prevent him from getting lovesick again. Although it's an unconventional relationship that gets weirder up until the very end, I highly recommend you reading it. This is the most depressing manga I've ever read. It's also my first, but now I'm passing it on to you. Following a boy who's living in a post-apocalyptic world after witnessing his mom die. He walks for days ready to give up on life until reaching a school bus, which has a girl hiding in it. She's about his age, and with little to no words, they start to travel together and encounter the most messed up places and people. But at the same time, both are dreaming of a peaceful future together. Though the boy does everything in his power to protect his new friend from the cruel world. It'll leave you appreciating and questioning life. It's called The Horizon. Rosen Garden Saga is an extremely down bad and over-the-top manga that follows a hot-headed woman named Lin. One day her village is attacked and raided by bandits. So she runs away and finds a magical sword containing the spirit of the legendary hero Siegfried. However, we discover he's a sexual fiend, and so are many other mythical legends of this world, each having skills built around their weird kinks. So Siegfried's sword grants her the ability to turn men into women while making her grow a sword of her own to take revenge. It's like if Record of Ragnarok fused with Prison School, and I'm all for it. King Arthur is a femboy idol, this guy uses his dong as a sword, and some other very bizarre events go on, which each chapter keeps delivering and outdoing itself in craziness and stellar art. This guy turns into a magical girl. Hitomi is a guy working a 9-to-5 office job that he hates, always wishing that he could be some kind of hero, until one day he sees a monster attacking a little girl, throwing himself in front of the beast to save the girl, but this action transforms Hitomi into a cute magical girl. Although wishing to be a cooler hero, he does what he can with his new ability, leading him to some hilarious scenes. Be sure to check out Magical Girl Incident. This cursed girl is able to become young again at the price of her life. In the story Mysterious Disappearances, Sumairaka Orowa is a 28-year-old washed-up writer who loves mysteries and urban legends. However, Sumi works part-time at a bookstore since she hasn't had a successful story since she was 15. But one day when flirting with her coworker, a strange book comes into their shop. Intrigued by it, Sumi reads it and proceeds to turn young again. This appears to be perfect since she's felt like something has been missing from her old days of teenage writing. But the power came at the cost of a slow death as all her organs are being crushed slowly. Luckily, Sumi's coworker Ren tracks her down and makes an offer she can't refuse. He knows how to reverse the curse temporarily, but in exchange she has to work with him on supernatural cases around the city. This story has plenty of twists, horrifying creatures, and ecchi moments. This girl falls in love with her boss. In After the Rain, we follow Akira. She used to be a track star but broke her ankle and now works after school at a diner. This is where she's in love with her boss, Masami. He's a scruffy divorce guy but was the only person who showed her kindness in a dark time of her life. So she never forgot this and wants him to notice her. However, the age gap makes their relationship complicated and it doesn't end like you think. It's a beautiful think piece that explores the complexities of Akira's love, personal growth, and pursuit of happiness. Plus, it's by the creator of Kowloon generic romance. The ending is bittersweet. What if you started a harem with a girl that had multiple personalities? Well, in the comic Pseudo Herum, we follow Eiji and Rin, who are part of their school acting club. Eiji laments that he's had relationship issues and has always wanted to be in one, particularly a harem with multiple girls. So his classmate Rin humors him by acting out the reoccurring harem stereotypes: the cheeky devil, the cool beauty, the tsundere, and so on. Eiji plays along enthusiastically, but sometimes Rin's real feelings towards him slip outside of her characters. So the lighthearted flirting begins with him and Rin's multiple personas. The only downside of this is that I wish it was longer, as the entire thing was wholesome as hell. This insane manga is by the author of Oshi No Ko and Kaguya-sama. Expect plenty of twists as we follow the new girl Mari Mari Winter Nanase. She's smart, talented, and good looking, except she struggles to talk to guys, resorting to getting help from a suspicious love agency from a book she found inside her school library. She's then greeted by this fox-looking creature, making a contract with it to help her to ask out her crush. But the crazy twist reveals that her crush isn't who he appears to be or the fox creature. With only one chapter, it'll definitely be worth checking out Renai Daiko or Love Agency. What if you had to kill your teacher or the entire planet would die? In Assassination Classroom, Nagisa and his fellow classmates have to kill their alien teacher, Kuro-sensei, a round-headed octopus creature that destroyed 80% of the moon, moving at Mach 20. He plans to destroy the Earth in 1 year, but decides to teach a junior high school class in the meantime for an unknown reason. Although he's basically taken over the world, Kuro-sensei is a pretty goofy and chill person, caring for every single one of his students, and is certain they'll be able to kill him before the time runs out. Check out the hilarious and often sad journey of Class 3E. This overpowered martial artist fights cancer in another world. Takemura, age 82, is rushed by his nurse Tanaka-san to save his life. He's currently dying from lung cancer. The only thing he wishes is that he was able to finish his bucket list of opponents to fight. Suddenly, both are transported into a new world with giant beasts attacking them and a strange little girl. Tanaka freezes with fear, but Takemura, thinking he's in a dream, kills the beast with a single finger. A huge voice from the sky says that he's leveled up, gaining health points like a video game, stopping his cancer. Tanaka-san then asks the little girl they just saved, Lone, where they were at. The small dragon girl gratefully explains that they're not in Japan, but she will be happy to guide them to a town she's traveling to. Now, from a unique premise to hilarious characters and ridiculous fights, you should definitely check this out. Yomei Nikagetsu no Isekai Kenkouhou, or Another World's Health Method with 2 months left to live. Imagine being sentenced to death at Disneyland for massacring your entire class. This happens to Ganta Higurashi in Deadman Wonderland. One day, a masked man floating outside his classroom barges in and slaughters everyone inside except for him. The blame is put onto him and Ganta is sent to a privately run prison, the Deadman Wonderland. This prison uses its prisoners as cruel entertainment for the world to watch. It's there where he meets his childhood friend Shiro, who guides him throughout this hell. But he soon figures out that he isn't like any normal prisoner, but that he's a dead man, someone who has a branch of sin. This means that he has the ability to control his blood freely. Now he can seek revenge against the red man who framed him and massacred his friends. Imagine being completely invisible to everyone except for this girl. Well, in Kubo Won't Let Me Be Invisible, we follow Shirashi, a plain nobody who doesn't get any attention. Except from his classmate Nagase Kubo. She teases him and puts him outside his comfort zone, and he eventually does slowly break out of his shell to getting more notice. You get to see more of Kubo and Shirashi's relationship develop in a wholesome way. Claymore is the underrated version of Berserk. In this world, people are afraid of shape-shifting creatures called Yorma. Humanity's answer to this are half-demon, giant sword-wielding, silver-haired women called Claymores. Our main character Claire is one of them, however she's the weakest of the organization of Yorma hunters. Although that doesn't stop her from seeking revenge against the Yorma who killed her best friend. As you go through these brutal chapters, you slowly uncover the secrets of the organization and the Yorma. It's action-packed, beautiful, and has plenty of mystery to keep you hooked. Let me put you onto the hype manga Hell's Paradise. Our protagonist, Gabimaru the Empty, is the most feared assassin in the nation, but he's eventually captured and put onto death row. His executioner, Sagari, offers him the option of freedom with his wife. All he has to do is go onto this mysterious island, survive its creatures, and retrieve an elixir of immortality in exchange for his peaceful life. What if your favorite idol became your mom? Well, then you'd have Oshi No Ko. Be warned, this story is dark. We follow Goro, a doctor who's a hardcore fan of Oshino, a 16-year-old idol. One day, to his surprise, she turns out to be one of his patients, as she's pregnant with 2 twins. Knowing how many problems her pregnancy will cause, he's determined to deliver both babies safely while keeping this huge secret. However, the night of Ai's delivery, Goro is murdered by a mysterious man. He's then reincarnated as Aquamarine Oshino, Ai's son. That's all I can spoil, but you should definitely check it out for yourself, as there's a ton of twists in there. Chainsaw Man was inspired by the manga Abara. It's set in a dystopian world with their protagonist, also named Denji. The story revolves around Ganas wreaking havoc and Denji stopping them at all costs. He's able to transform into a Gana, but a shady government organization stands in his way. With its amazing art and short length, you should definitely check it out. This is the most chill evil villain. The story follows a man called the General, who's part of an evil organization that intends to destroy Earth. He fights every day against the Earth's defense force called the Rangers. However, on his days off, he refuses to do any work, which includes trying to destroy the Earth. The General much prefers to go to the zoo to watch pandas or kick back at home eating ice cream. Very similar to the way of the house husband. Make sure to read The Villain's Day Off before the anime drops. This guy falls in love with a witch. Naoto Misano is a serious looking office worker who only wants to get work done until he falls for his co-worker Shizuka Hoshino, who happens to be a witch. She's the opposite of him, being a clumsy and kind girl who's also a pushover. But that gets on Naoto's nerves since Shizuka is the only person who has powers in the office. Fed up and deeply in love with her, he decides to make his move to getting her heart. Fighting her previous ex, telling her to stand up for herself, all while changing alongside Shizuka himself. He'll be cheering them on this heartwarming story, so be sure to check out Daily Report About My Witch Senpai. Reborn as a vending machine is surprisingly good. Our MC Boxo gets teleported to a new world as a vending machine. He saves and befriends this clumsy hunter girl named Lamis, so she decides to take him on her adventures, which by the 4th chapter has Boxo put into the middle of a battlefield. He's supplying food, drinks, and even has a force field ability to help out his friends. Now I expected to hate this, but it turned out to be a decent comedy that isn't your cookie cutter isekai. But that's just my 2 cents. Check it out. This manga will break you. Goodnight Poon Poon. It's regarded as one of the best mangas of all time for good reason. It's a touching but brutal tale of the life of Poon Poon. We see him growing up from being an innocent kid to an adult. It's like a train wreck you can't look away from. The characters felt so real and relatable that at times I yelled at the book, like, what the f are you doing? It understands that life is just absurd and difficult, but embraces unsustainable love, floating godheads, dysfunctional families, and the death of things that you love. This is one of the only mangas I'd rate a 10 out of 10. You should check out other works by Inio Asano. A manga about starting a harem with your enemy's mom. Cetus is a swordsman who gets kicked out of his party. His team members tell him that he's too weak and that he's holding them back. But in reality, that's BS. Their leader, Zekt, is actually sleeping with all the women in their party, including the girl Cetus was in love with. One day, while Cetus was taking a stroll through town, he was looking for a servant to help him. And lo and behold, he found Shizuko, the mother of his ex-leader Zekt. She thanks him for being kind and taking care of her and swears her life upon him. She mentions that she was in a party with his previous members' mothers. mothers. And from there on out, Setas goes to build his party with the rest of their mothers. You should pick up Tomo Chan as a girl. Now, Tomo is a tomboy who's in love with her childhood friend Jun, and he just sees her as one of the boys, honestly. Essentially, the story is just about her trying to confess her love to him and getting that through his thick skull, and that just leads to very hilarious moments to where he doesn't even remember that she's a girl at times. And, this mean girl is actually kind. Amane comes off as scary to others due to her eyes, but she's actually sweet and socially shy, especially when it comes to her classmate and crush Kato. Now, on a fateful day, he asks if she'd like to be his partner on a school trip, which instantly makes her melt and her true colors are shown. Eventually, Amane overcomes her initial shyness and they both admit their love for each other. Yeah, no games here. It's a fluff series that will leave you with an extremely sweet feeling. It's called The Girl with the Sanpaku Eyes. Sanpaku meaning the white space above or below your eye. Magical Girl Apocalypse is not your typical magical girl manga. We follow our protagonist Kei, an average high schooler. But one day he looks outside his class window and sees a strange little girl walk up to his teacher and straight up domes him. Kei thinks he was dreaming, so he goes to the bathroom to clear his mind. When he returns to class, he witnesses everyone getting slaughtered. On top of that, some of his classmates even turned into zombies. Nearly escaping, he's able to meet up with a group of survivors. There they find out that the world is being attacked by these magical girls, as a pentagram opens up in the sky and a bunch of them are released. What caused this and how will they survive? What if an idol owned Cthulhu as her pet? Then you'd have Gadu and Cthulhu. This is a slice of life that follows an upcoming Gyaru idol named Inaba Futaba. One day she decides to go into a pet store and adopts an octopus, but without realizing her new pet was the cosmic being Cthulhu. However, it likes Futaba and decides to help her out on her journey. From hypnotizing to controlling people, Cthulhu wants Futaba to be the world's greatest idol and possibly taking over the world. It's a pretty short webcomic spanning only 3 volumes, so check. The Ring is supposed to be scary, but a legit manga called Sadako-san and Sadako-chan turns it cute. Following the legend, Sadako on her way to game end a little girl, but she finds out the girl isn't scared but is actually a huge fan of Sadako, eventually wanting to become like her. This confuses Sadako and throws her into an identity crisis. The little girl, not caring, asks her to become her friend, which will make you smile the entire way. Poking fun at Sadako and being an old woman since she doesn't understand phones, then starting a YouTube channel which you can actually check out to this day. Horror fans and wholesome fans will enjoy this. Attack on Titan's prequel is wild. Taking place 70 years before Eren Yeager, ODM Gear, and the original events of AOT, we follow a prisoner boy named Kukla who is born from the corpses of a Titan, which led to everyone thinking he was one, eventually escaping by rising up the daughter of the man who captured him, Charlet. This eventually led to Kukla joining the Survey Corps to prove his innocence, which we get to see the very first ODM Gear created and in action. If you're looking for anything to heal that hole in your heart after the AOT ending, check out Attack on Titan Before the Fall. This manga is about a couple forbidden to fall in love. In Japan, there are 2 schools that hate each other: Chidori Public High School, known for its delinquents, and the prestigious Kikyo Private Girls Academy. Rintaro is a scary looking guy attending Chidori, while Karuko, an outgoing and sweet girl, attends Kikyo. But one day both discover each other's secrets. Karuko runs into Rintaro at his mom's cake shop, the place where he's actually seen as kind and where Karuko secretly eats her cake without being judged by her friends. Even when she discovers that Rintaro is from the delinquent school, she treats him nicely, which has never happened to him in his life. Thus begins a story between Rentaro and Karuko's relationship. It's got drama that happens between characters that actually feels meaningful, which will make you shed a tear from wholesomeness. I highly recommend you read this cute Romeo and Juliet-like story called The Fragrant Flower Blooms with Dignity. If you're a fan of Spy Family and Buddy Daddies, Kindergarten Wars should be on your radar. In Japan, there's a kindergarten where the kids of the world's most important attend school and it's protected by assassins. We follow a duo, Rita, a girl only working to repay her freedom and is a bit of an airhead. The other is Doug, a hitman who snuck into the school as a teacher and plans to take out the staff and a kid he's targeting. Although the both of them are the deadliest at the school, they both don't get along and bully each other in very hilarious ways. It's an action comedy which is top tier in both respects. I wouldn't be surprised if it got an anime soon, so let me know what you think. Imagine selling your entire life for $3,000. Well, in the manga 3 Days of Happiness, there's a story where you can sell your lifespan, time, or health for some cash. Our main character, 20-year-old Kusunogi, decides to sell part of his life since he's broke and living without a purpose. For the remaining 3 months of his life, he's paired with an observer, Miyagi, who we find out is equally as lost, but they both start to find purpose with each other's company. It's only 16 chapters and quite sad and beautiful. This manga is about sisters who love their brother a little too much. It's by the creator of Rent a Girlfriend, so you know it's gonna be peak. We start by following Arata, trying to find a girlfriend, but he's had no luck. Being the oldest brother of, in his words, the most attractive sisters who are all very popular, he constantly gets teased by them for having no relationship. But one night his luck changes, because his father reveals that no one in Arata's family is actually blood related, meaning they were all adopted. This throws all of the sisters' previous feelings about Arata out the window, so now all 5 of them fight to be with him, called the Children of the Shiunji family. What if you switched bodies with an assassin? One rainy day, 10-year-old Minato Myojin and his little sister go to a carnival only to get abandoned by their terrible mother. Not realizing this, the two cheerfully go on a Ferris wheel, but in a twist of fate, lightning strikes the ride. And when Minato wakes up, he finds a dead body at his feet, but it's not his sister, nor is his body his. After this unfortunate event, he now does everything in his power to find this killer and the only person he cares about, all while getting chased by the police and by the enemies of this unknown killer. This insane thriller is by the creator of race and is called Island in the Puddle. What if the company you were working for left you to die to a group of mercenaries, but they ended up taking a liking to you? Then you'd have Black Lagoon. Rock is a young businessman who was betrayed by the company he used to work for, as when he was kidnapped holding company secrets, they sent a group of assassins to take him out. However, with the help of his kidnappers, Dutch the captain, Benny the mechanic, and Revy the gun nut, Rock came up with an insane plan. He blew up the assassin's helicopter using the ship's torpedo. This cemented him as a crew member of the baddest mercenaries around, the Black Lagoon. Not only is there non-stop action, but we get a story with deep characters like cold-blooded yet strangely lovable Revy, who falls for Rock. This cute romance is about a duke who can't touch his maid or she'll die. Duke of Death and his maid. We follow our main character who was cursed by a witch when he was a child, and it made it so that every living thing he touches would die, shunning him from society and his family. However, his maid Alice isn't afraid of him and loves to tease him in amusing ways. Their love grows, and so does the mystery to curing the duke's death touch. What if you were the only guy at an all-girls school? Well, Hachimitsu Private Academy is an elite all-girls boarding school, but due to a policy change, 5 boys are now enrolled into the school, creating a ratio of 200 girls to 1 guy. But the boys decide to take advantage of their situation and create a plan to peep into the girls' locker room. However, this plan backfires as they're caught almost right away by the notorious underground student council. Their freedom is then stripped away as they're thrown into the school's private prison for 1 month. But what the girls don't know is that they're planning to escape while also enjoying themselves. The manga is called Prison School, and I highly recommend reading it. What if meeting your favorite idol led to a life of suffering? Well, in Boys Abyss, our main character Reggie is trapped in his hometown. He wants to leave after he graduates, but helps out his mom who works to support his grandma and jobless older brother. That is until one day he runs into a girl named Nagi. She's part of the idol group Acrylics that he's a fan of. However, after some chatting, Nagi proposes that he ends his life with her. The story only gets darker from there, as after he sleeps with Nagi, Reggie proceeds to have a fling between his childhood friend and yandere teacher, each wanting him for their own reasons. Childhood friend Cheiko just wants him to go to university with her in Tokyo, and his teacher Yuri just wants him to be happy. Trust me, there's lots of twists that merge into this car wreck that you can't look away from. This manga tricks you to thinking it's cute. It's called Wandering Witch, The Journey of Elena. Our protagonist, Elena the Ashen Witch, is a young girl going from city to city to live her childhood dream. A dream of traveling all across the world like in a book she read. Now, that sounds like a cute and generic fantasy, but it pulls a bait and switch, as we come to realize the world is actually a cruel place. Man-eating plants tricking couples to stay to be eaten, kids refusing to accept their siblings are dead, and a young boy trying to make his servant be happy. If you're looking for a cute story like Kino's Journey or a toned-down version of Made in Abyss, this underrated series is from the creator of Rosario Vampire, following the 28-year-old failed actress Chloe Love, who makes a deal with the demon to become famous. We start with Chloe at a big interview when she suddenly is attacked by a possessed man, only barely being saved by the demon Kai, who also turns out to be her biggest fan from the underworld. He offers Chloe protection from the recent ghosts that escaped. Chloe declines until Kai offers her the fame that comes with becoming a ghost reaper. So their strange ghost-slaying partnership begins. With some amazing art and excellent action, you should definitely check out Ghost Reaper Girl. GTO, or Great Teacher Onizuka, is a manga full of life lessons. Echi Onizuka isn't your average teacher. He's an ex-gangster trying to teach a class full of delinquents. His goal is to be the greatest teacher of all time and to get laid. Even being unprofessional, vulgar, and a degenerate, Onizuka is there to support his students when they most need him. He's a man of tenacity and isn't afraid to get embarrassed or hurt, which is one of the reasons why his class grows to respect him. It's not only a feel-good story, but it's a classic. This story revolves around evil Power Rangers. You see, 13 years ago, Earth was invaded by aliens from a massive spaceship, and their initial attack was swiftly stopped by the Dragon Rangers. However, fate took a dark turn as the Rangers enslaved the defeated aliens. These invaders possessed regenerative abilities, making it so that they were being defeated and coming back each week in staged battles, all for the sake of the Rangers maintaining their heroic image to the world. However, one day an alien named D reaches a breaking point. Tired of all the suffering caused by the Rangers, D manages to escape the giant castle by disguising himself as a human. Unluckily, he crosses paths with the Yellow Ranger, but to his surprise, she offers to help him seek revenge against the Rangers for unknown reasons. It's called Go-Go Loser Ranger, and it's made by the quintessential quintuplets creator. You should read Fire Punch by Tatsuki Fujimoto. In a world frozen all over, some people are born with unique abilities. You're dropped into this starving little village. Our protagonist Agni and his sister have regenerative powers. Since he really loves her and the village, he feeds them his flesh. One day an army strolls in and witnesses the way they get their food. Disgusted by this, they roast the village.
That is fucking disgusting.
However, Agni survives, but it takes him several years to regenerate his human form, as the fire used on him constantly burns away at his flesh. But now he's bigger than ever. Hellbent on taking revenge, he hunts down those who took away his home and his sister. There are many events in this story that'll make you question whether he's a hero or a villain. Be ready to embark on an adventure filled with cute characters, family bonding, this face, Drain Gang, and kids. What if meeting the girl of your dreams ruined your life? This dark story follows the transformation of Makoto Okazaki. His life is mediocre, being bullied and underappreciated, until fate brings a beautiful vampire named Nora into his life. She attacks him on his way home, only giving him two options, to live or to not. But the decision Makoto makes turns his life upside down. First, he gains fast reflexes, making him able to stand up to his bully, gaining him respect and new friends, but his vampire powers only become stronger. Unable to stand sunlight, he develops fangs and thirst for blood, destroying his normal life. The mysterious beauty Nora shows Makoto the dark truth of being a vampire drags everyone that you love into danger. Lots of dark moments that are showed off with the most beautiful art, so check out Happiness and any other works by Shuzo Oshimi. This cute manga is about falling in love with a divorced neighbor, following our main character who gets a new neighbor, Ochiai-san. We know she's a D4C because he constantly hears crying through his paper-thin walls. But one day on a walk back home, our MC spots Ochiai-san getting harassed by some old drunk guy. So he does the most reasonable thing and smacks him on the head. She's extremely grateful that he saved her, and after a few days pass, she runs into the MC and thanks him with a bento box. But her MC reveals that he got suspended because that old dude harassing her happened to be a higher up at the company he works at. Ochiai-san profusely apologizes, but the MC says it's alright. She can repay him by helping him cook dinner. During the meal, the MC says that the food was the best he's ever had and that she's an excellent cook. Now this takes Ochiai-san aback because her last relationship was pretty abusive. And you can see in her face that it's been a very long time since she's been happy. It's called My Divorced Crybaby Neighbor. Very wholesome and addicting to read. This is the most tragic character. Tomie is known to be a horrifying creature in the manga, but she was once a normal high school girl. That is until her boyfriend on a school trip pushed her off a cliff for cheating on him. His classmates and teacher didn't want him to go to jail, so they decided to hide her death, disposing of Tomie even when she was still alive after the fall. They lied to the police and her family as they said she disappeared, only for Tomie to return on the day of her funeral seeking revenge and living in an endless cycle of dying from the men she drives insane and coming back as the horrific monster we know. This depressing story is from the creator of Zom 100. Alice in Borderland follows the high schooler Arisu and his misfit friends. He considers himself a loser because for the past 18 years he's had no direction and is tired of life. Life without any purpose, only wishing for some sort of excitement. That very same night, he sees fireworks go off and everything changes. Arisu is transported to another Japan, but he got what he wished for in a way never expected, and now has to participate in adrenaline-pumping death games that gain him points to live another day, or he'll suffer a terrible death. It's one of the top manga of all time for a reason, with some of the most heart-wrenching moments and engaging characters. This sad story is from the creator of Chainsaw Man. Goodbye Eri follows a boy about to commit unalive when a mysterious girl approaches him with the offer of making a movie. You see, Yuta made a film documenting his mom's final moments as she battled an uncurable illness. Yuta promised her that he'd have something to remember her by. However, after showing the movie at school, all the students mercilessly make fun of it, leading him down a dark path until he meets Eri. This outgoing and straightforward girl is a huge fan of Yuta's films and wants to get closer to him so that he can make more movies. However, the story starts to twist as the two start to spend more time together. This makes you question whether the true Eri is in reality or inside the footage from Yuta's films. Would you be able to live your life ignoring spirits? Well, in the manga Ryoko-chan, our main character Miko just wants to live a normal high school life with their best friend Hana. But one day when waiting by a bus stop, a stranger approaches her. Their body was mangled and their guts were hanging out. Terrified, Miko pretended not to see them. And this worked as it left her alone, but she knew deep down inside that something was wrong. Miko had gained the ability to see spirits everywhere she went. And uncertain what they would do to her if they figured out her ability, she has to pull a poker face every time they're around. This makes for some hilarious and equally terrifying moments. What if a demon tricked you to falling in love? In Make the Exorcist Fall in Love, a young nameless priest is tasked by the church to protect a girl and defeat the devil. But the only issue is that the girl he's supposed to protect is secretly a demon. Since birth, the church pushed and bullied him to defeat demons, even taking him as far as ripping out his eye during a battle to keep his faith. Later, he's given a mission to protect the artist Irumi, who's invited to meet the devil, which he starts to fall for her immediately. However, the priest is unaware that behind Irumi's kindness lies a demon in disguise. And one of the twists is that we slowly see her catching feelings for him, which is only part of the unique concept that holds many more secrets and downright insane action. What if you were caught in 4K? Well, in Flowers of Evil, we follow our main character Kazuga, who one day after school steals a pair of gym clothes of the class idol and the girl he likes, Nanako. However, his classmate Sawa, who sits directly behind him, witnessed him stealing the clothes after school. Now, she's no ordinary girl. Sawa is a sadist, sociopath, and pretty much insane. So she decides to blackmail Kasuga by forming a contract with him to do the most embarrassing and messed up things, like making him wear the gym clothes he stole and go on a date with Nanako. But Kasuga has to comply unless he wants everyone to know his terrible secret. It's just like a car wreck that keeps getting worse and worse, but you can't keep your eyes off of it because it's pretty entertaining. If you're looking for a psychological manga that's also finished, this strange couple falls in love. Kurakawa is a troublemaker that turns into a soft guy for Yukiko, a blind girl who's the first person who's ever cared for him. They met when bumping into each other, and Kurakawa fell in love the moment she asked if he was fine. From that moment on, Kurakawa decided to be by Yukiko's side at all times, even changing his life for the better, by getting a job and stopping his delinquent life. It's a simple and short romance that will make you feel great. It's called Love's in Sight. You gotta read Beauty and the Feast. Shuko is a 28-year-old widow who lost her husband and her love for cooking. One day she hears that she's getting a new next-door neighbor, so she goes to introduce herself, brings some food, and sees that it's some high schooler named Shoei, and he's on the baseball team. And as soon as he gets her food, he starts to devour it, and that makes her extremely happy, and that's essentially how the story continues off. Very wholesome, not that kind of plot. I just picked up this unique manga which follows a kidnapped girl, Mao Mao, who's forced to work as a poor servant at the Emperor's palace. But her destiny changes when she saves the lives of the Emperor's two sick kids. You see, Mao Mao looks average, but she's crazy for playing with poisons. So her talent leads her to figuring out that the royal babies were getting poisoned, leading Mao Mao to secretly write a note to the family since she only wants to live a quiet life. However, she's caught by the royal court, which all are impressed by her skills and upgrade her from servant to royal poison tester and detective. Her reactions and personality are well worth the read alone. Teasing Master Takagi-san just ended after 11 years, however, it's actually receiving a spin-off next month. It pretty much kicked off the whole teasing genre by inspiring series like Nagatoro, Kaguya-sama, and Uzaki. A quick recap of the story follows a boy named Nishikata getting relentlessly teased by a girl who obviously likes him named Takagi. So he makes it his ultimate goal to get revenge by trying to embarrass her back. This is where the new sequel spin-off will take place, following their daughter Chi doing the exact same thing by teasing a boy in her class, called Teasing Master Nishikata-san. This painful manga will hit you in your feels. Frieren Beyond Journey's End follows an immortal elf girl, Frieren, living life after defeating the Demon Lord. While her human friends want to settle down after fighting for 10 years, she leaves them to explore the world and develop her magic. However, it comes as a shock when she returns 50 years later unchanged, while some of her friends are old or have passed away. This strikes a chord in her, making her cry for the first time. Filled with regrets and nostalgia for the past, she looks to fulfill her friends' dying wishes while finding the meaning of life with new companions and adventures ahead. It's a beautiful and sad tale that will tug at your heartstrings. One of the most terrifying horror manga you probably never heard of is called Ibitsu. Trigger warning. One late night, 16-year-old Kazuki went to take out the trash when he encounters a creepy girl in a bloody dress sitting in a pile of garbage. He tries to ignore her, however, she asks him the question, "Do you have a little sister?" Hesitantly, he replies, "I do," and bolts inside of his apartment, not knowing his fate has been sealed. You see, there's an urban legend where if a girl in a gothic Lolita dress approaches you and asks to be your little sister, you must not talk to her unless you want to suffer a terrible death. Unfortunately, Kazuki, unaware, has to face her stalking and killing those around him. Will he be able to survive this terrible curse? This series deserves an anime. Even with Goblin Slayer Season 2 out, not many people know about his origin manga. 3 days after witnessing his sister and village get slaughtered by goblins, a young boy runs into a strange man who saves him. With years of brutal training, the man teaches the boy everything he needs to know, birthing the Goblin Slayer. But even with his training, the boy is sloppy and makes plenty of mistakes learning as he battles. We truly get to see the start and struggle the Goblin Slayer has to go through, as we dive through his backstory, losing friends, gaining new experiences, and slaughtering goblins despite his horrific past. I'm avoiding spoilers, but you need to check out the story for yourself. It's called Goblin Slayer Year 1. What if the Demon Lord and the world's previous hero were now living together? Then you'd have the story Level 1 Demon Lord and One Room Hero. 10 years ago, the hero Max defeated the Demon Lord Mao, and after a long slumber, Mao is reborn into present-day Japan, but as a chibi version of its past self. Still wanting revenge, Mao looks for Max, but makes a horrifying discovery. The once mighty hero is out of shape, hated by the public, and is living in a dirty one-room apartment. So Mao finds this unacceptable and decides to move in with Max with her assistant. Using her demonic powers of shape-shifting, mind control, and seduction, Mao will make sure that Max will become a worthy opponent once more. And maybe their relationship might turn into something else. What if your right hand became your girlfriend? Midori Days is about a boy, Sawamura Seiji, a delinquent who's feared all across his city for his deadly right hand. But with that kind of reputation, he can't seem to get a girlfriend. That is until one morning after praying, Seiji awoke with a girl as his right hand, Kasugano Midori. She has no clue how she ended up as his right hand, but doesn't care, as she's loved him for 3 years but was never courageous enough to tell him. Now being stuck together, they both can navigate through the relationship and possibly life together. Even with its fan service, it comes out strong with its wholesome and heartfelt moments in a weird little package. What if your friend was dead, but a monster took over his body? Well, in the story, the summer Hikaru died, Yoshiki and Hikaru are two best friends who live in a small village. But something is off about Hikaru ever since he went missing for a week in the forest. So one day, Yoshiki confronts his best friend that he isn't the same person, and that something else has taken over his body. Hikaru then reveals to be a horrific creature that's been playing human. It pleads and threatens to take Yoshiki's life if he doesn't keep it a secret. So with no other option, he accepts his life together with his best friend, making you uneasy with every single panel and interaction and friend who stumbles across these two. Things only get wilder as murders and strange phenomena start to occur around their village. Could Hikaru be behind all this? This romance is pure diabetes, following the typical shy and introverted girl Maya-zen. She reads so many romance novels that she dreams of one day experiencing love in her life like the stories. However, Maya-zen snaps back to reality as her reserved nature and fear of rejection has kept her from approaching her crush, Yamamoto, a delinquent looking boy who's actually misunderstood and gentle-natured. With Maizen's perseverance and countless movie references, will she struggle to get Yamamoto's attention and heart? It's called Miss Maizen Would Love to Get Closer to You. He hated his life until the zombie apocalypse happened. Our main character Akira celebrates the zombie apocalypse as he no longer has to work his office job, because for 3 long years he's been tired of life. Tired of working at a corporation that treats him like a slave, rotting away in a trash-filled apartment, until one day he walked in onto his landlord eating his neighbor, realizing that the entire world is now a zombie apocalypse. But his reaction isn't fear, but joy and happiness, knowing that he doesn't have to work there anymore. While everyone is panicking, this guy is living his best life, fighting zombies and doing what he wants. With his newfound freedom, Akira decides to start a bucket list of 100 things to do before he becomes a zombie. From finding the girl of his dreams, to growing dreadlocks, or just lounging around with his best friend, he's gonna live his life to the fullest. Remember Death Note's sequel? It follows a decade after the events of Light Yagami, where a bored Ryuk comes back to Earth in search for someone who will give him apples and entertainment. He runs into Monaro Tanaka, the smartest student in Japan. But Monaro refuses the Death Note and tells Ryuk to come back in 2 years. Now in high school, Monaro gets his hands on the book, but doesn't plan on taking over the world. Instead, he wants to sell it to live an easy life. He tells Ryuk to fly to a news station with the note, stating that the Death Note will go to the highest bidder on Twitter, which ends up being Donald Trump, buying it at a whopping $500 billion. Monaro's plan would be foolproof because the money would be deposited to every single Japanese bank to people under 60 years old, so it's untraceable. Meeting the Kira unit, but in a twist of fate, the Shinigami King writes a new rule. Anyone who buys or sells the Death Note will die. Trump is told about the new rule and declines the book, while Monaro, who was unaware, perishes. This is only one of many Death Note one-shots, so you should definitely pick this This guy tutors a creepy girl. In the manga Dark Gathering, we follow Keitaro, a previous shut-in that eventually landed a job tutoring his friend's cousin. However, he wasn't prepared for her dark hobbies. You see, Keitaro hates spirits, but unfortunately due to an accident is now like a magnet towards them. However, this is perfect for the girl he's tutoring, Yayoi, as she's into the occult and has spiritual abilities. So, Keitaro basically becomes bait for Yayoi to lure and capture evil spirits, because she yearns to find the one that took away her mother. But the two may have to worry about more than outside forces. As in the past, his friend Eiko was cursed and now is showing some strange behavior. What if your parents sold you off to a demon? In Welcome to Demon School Iruma-kun, 14-year-old Iruma is kidnapped to the netherworld. His scumbag parents sold him to the demon Sullivan, but to his surprise, Sullivan wishes to adopt him as his beloved grandson. Iruma agrees and is enrolled into the demon school, where he must keep his human identity secret or risk being eaten by his classmates. As the story progresses, he befriends a vast group of demons, which make for some hilarious moments. This cute slice of life will definitely leave you wishing for more. This dark romance is about dating supernatural girls. Gary is a light novel that starts when our protagonist decides to pick up a stranded witch on the side of the road, but his fling with her leads him down a dark path to other creatures. This story is an allegory about the different romantic relationships and its challenges that a man will encounter embodied in a witch, a ghost, and a zombie, hence the name Girls Are Scary. There are many references and homages to famous horror movies like Fade the Ghost is based off of The Nun and Annabelle from the Conjuring universe. Edie the Psychopath is designed after Leatherface and Dr. Salvador from Resident Evil 4. It's even got an insanely good manga adaptation on Webtoons. So what if you wanted to die but you had to make a girl fall in love with you? Then you'd have Undead Unluck. We follow the adventures of Andy and his partner Fuko Uzumo. Fuko, also known as Unluck, just wants to have a normal relationship. The problem is that anytime she touches anybody, they die. That is until Andy touches her and survives due to his immortality. This is because people with special abilities in this world are called negators. They're able to negate the rules of the world such as luck or death. This makes for some really interesting JoJo-like battles. My last recommendation is for you all to subscribe and check out LA Manga Cafe, as you can find all of these recommendations on the site. Wishing you a Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays. This has been Louis, and Adios La Familia.